The meeting is being live streamed?
I just found it on my YouTube. When I'm like small as my that I can connect with YouTube. Yes.
And there's Jessie from live from China. I recognize her.
Hello, I'm late. I'm sorry I'm late.
It's okay.
Nice to meet you. Hi, hey there, everyone. Nice to meet you. Good morning.
Hello,
Hi,
everyone.
and good
Hello.
evening there, Michael.
Thank you.
Evening.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
And who is this gentleman who's joined us as well?
Yeah, Frank. Frank. It's our vice
Frank?
president of our
Frank, you
Frank
said?
Chan. Yes,
Nice,
Frank Chan.
nice. That's my father's name, Frank. Good choice.
Yeah, and I had another one at the start. Uh, he's in Shanghai right now. He's from Shanghai. Another girl didn't.
Okay. I mean, you let me know, June, you let me know when you like us to begin.
Let's start.
Okay.
You want me to start to talk first?
Sure.
I just wonder. Let me see here. I start to talk English, and I put the.
And
Uh,
and by
so
the way,
anybody,
June, just one thing, maybe you want to encourage people to in the chat to
right?
introduce themselves, where they're from, what they do, that sort of thing. What brings
Right.
them to this event?
Michael 就是鼓励大家，如果可以再打开你们的那个 chat box，就是那个对话框，可以把你们现在是在哪里，然后你们是做什么的，然后想了解什么问题，可以打在对话框里面。然后之后就是如果他因为全程他都会讲英文，所以如果你不大听得懂英文的话，你需要我翻译的话。你告诉我一下，然后会把一些 就是那个总结性的，然后打在对话框里面。
我能问一下吗？现在是到哪里了？
现在是刚开始，还没开始，
哦哦
还没
，just
正式开
started，just
始。
started。
对
OK，
对，
需要我介绍一
然后
下吗？
可以可以，
是一
你可以先介
个一个来。
绍一下自己。对，你可以先介绍一
So，
下自己。
I
呃
I couldn't fully understand, of course, what June said, but I'm sure I
yeah,
agree. I'm sure I agree with you completely. Whatever you said.
Right,
I
I
just
just
asked her,
awesome.
so
What's that?
Mhm.
What's that?
No, she said she can introduce herself right now.
Ah, okay.
because I'm late, so I want to introduce myself to all of you.
Yeah, you can
You're not
start
that,
right now.
yeah, you're
Yeah, okay,
not that
okay.
late. Go ahead.
And good morning, everyone. Good evening. Good evening, Michael. I know it's evening time there, like
Yes.
maybe 8, 7 p.m. So, yeah. My name is Jessie. My first name is Duan. Duan is my son name. Yeah, and I'm from Xuzhou City, Jiangsu Province. This is my hometown. And I work in Zhejiang, Jiaxing City. And I'm in my office now. And my company is about aluminum business, aluminum profile extrusion business. So I knew Michael on Xiaohongshu. I really agree some point of view and some I do degree and I like his videos. So um, and thank you very much. I appreciate you give the link on Zoom, and
Sure.
I have the chance to know all of you. So yeah, this
Okay.
is some basic information about me, and nice to meet you guys.
Thank you so much, Jesse. So should we dive in then, June? It's now 8:08.
Yes,
Okay.
sure.
Go ahead. Did you want to
Okay.
begin or you already gave your introduction, June?
No. I can start my
Go
introduction
ahead,
right now.
please. Please.
I just curious. I'm talking about English or Chinese, but I can. So
Well, just
I
to
think
let
here right now everyone know the English, right? I'm just put Chinese in the chat. Chat the one I will introduce right now, so everybody can see it.
and
Okay.
also, June, as we agreed that just to let everyone know, that we'll also then have the captions in Chinese, and we'll upload this to YouTube. So anything that you miss, of course, you can rewatch if you like with the translation, right?
Sure. Okay.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. So Michael 刚才说，就是如果大家就是没有听懂他说什么，反正就是可以在 chat box 里面，就是那个对话框里面打出来。之后呢，我们也会把今天晚上的这个讲座，然后放在 YouTube channel 上，我们会发 link 给大家，然后之后大家可以观看，然后上面也会有这个中文的翻译。OK，so 那现在我会就是介绍一下今天晚上的这个我们的 webinar，所以呢，我已经把这个中文的翻译放在对话框里面了，大家可以看一下。OK，so good evening everyone, and thank you very much for joining us tonight. So my name is Jun Shen, and the president of the Shanghai Association in USA. And it is my pleasure to be your host for this evening's webinar presented by the Shanghai Association in USA Global Business Service Center. Tonight, we are very pleased to welcome Michael Jordan, Special Advisor to the Shanghai Association USA, serving as our strategic communications advisor and a personal branding trainer. Michael is a founder of MJ Mastered Communications and a New York-based China specialist with more than 30 years of global media experiences. As an international journalist, he has reported from 30 countries. He also served as the news editor for CGTN and taught international journalism and storytelling from China at universities in Beijing, Shanghai, and Hong Kong. Today, Michael advises companies, founders, and professionals who are going global on brand strategy, media relations, international communications, and trust building with global audiences. Tonight, Michael will focus particularly on personal communication skills. He will share practical strategies on how to make people remember you in 30 seconds, how to build your personal brand, improve your public speaking, develop small talk and networking skills, strengthen your professional presence on LinkedIn, and develop executive presence. These are valuable skills whether you are a business owner, executive, entrepreneur, professional, student, or job seeker. Michael will speak for approximately 45 minutes, followed by about 15 minutes of a Q&A. If you have questions during the presentation, please feel free to put them in the Zoom chat, and we will try to address as many as possible during our Q&A session. So, without further the introduction, it is my great pleasure to introduce our speaker and special advisor, Michael Jordan. Michael, thank you very much for joining us tonight. We are looking forward to learning from you. The floor is yours.
Bukuchi, my pleasure. Thank you very much, June, for that introduction and for inviting me to speak here about a very important topic. I feel it's very important, and I'll share also my PowerPoint with you. But we are facing nowadays, big picture, a global trust crisis where more and more people around the world do not believe what they read, what they see, what they watch, what they hear, especially online, with the rise of more and more AI, fakery, and scammers, misinformation, disinformation. So I want to focus on how each of us, whether we represent a company, founders of companies, or just as professionals, how we ourselves can earn trust, build trust, in fact, how to persuade our target audiences in our strategic communications, okay? So just to share with you the official title of this event. Wait, I'll expand this. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, hold on. Sorry, here. I've entitled, can you see the screen? Yes?
Yes.
I've entitled this, as you see, strategies for Chinese professionals in America to earn trust, build their brand, and unlock new opportunities, okay? And, and to begin with, oh, and I should also point out that here's what we'll try to cover tonight, okay? Why trust has become the world's most valuable business asset, communication mistakes that many Chinese companies and professionals make when entering the US, how US investors, partners, customers, media, etc. evaluate unfamiliar companies and unfamiliar professionals. I also want to individualize this, not just focus on companies, but on professionals. Why strategic story, what I call strategic storytelling, is often more persuasive than just technical presentations. How founders and executives can immediately strengthen your credibility, your believability. Okay. I also want to talk a bit about LinkedIn, how it's become an essential, necessary platform for international credibility, believability, okay? And some of the communication foundations that successful global brands and professionals consistently build, okay? Now, June said 45 minutes. I'm going to try to be briefer than that because I would love to hear. First of all, we're getting a late start. Second, I would love to hear some questions from you. I really want to present this to you, to engage you, and to answer any questions or concerns that you yourselves may have, okay? And I'd be happy to brainstorm some solutions. Now, I want to open tonight. I don't usually open tonight, but I myself am keeping in mind who my audience is. You're mostly Chinese, okay? So I'm thinking I need to make a little effort to earn trust from you. Not just because June introduced me and gave me her stamp of approval, but to explain a bit of my own background as to why this why this foreigner here tonight is going to share some insights about China and some of the challenges of Chinese strategic and global communications, okay? So briefly, my background is as an international journalist, as a foreign correspondent. This is obviously when I was a very young man, okay, when I was reporting from 30 different countries in Central and Eastern Europe, okay? So much of what I will talk about tonight, actually, and this is some of my own unique approach, is I'm applying my international journalism skills, strategies, and storytelling to the challenges of global communications, especially for Chinese, because the Chinese companies, the Chinese people face an additional trust challenge, which I'll talk about in just a moment. I'm sure many of you already feel that when you try to do business in the US and elsewhere, okay? Over the years, I also began teaching as a visiting professor of international journalism. This was a photo I took a few years back at Renmin University in Beijing, Renmin Daxue. I also taught at Beijing Foreign Studies University, Shanghai International Studies University, and Hong Kong Baptist University, where I created courses in storytelling from China for Chinese students in English to think and act like an international journalist writing about China, okay, for the international audience. Then while living in Beijing, I myself lived in Beijing for 5 years, from 2015 to 2020. And I did projects, trainings like this with Chinese environmental activists, how to raise awareness and to show what Chinese environmental groups were trying to do to improve the environment. I was featured in China Daily. My training was featured. Then I worked, as June mentioned, I worked for 1 year in Chinese media. After teaching journalism for many years to Chinese students, I was curious, what is it like on the inside of Chinese media? And as you can imagine, I also learned not just about certain restrictions, okay, certain restrictions within the Chinese media, but also the challenges that Chinese media faces in terms of how to win hearts and minds internationally about China's story, about China's way of seeing the world, okay? I worked as a news editor and advisor script writer to the host of one program. This is Liu Xin. She's a very famous host of a TV show. I was very privileged to work for her for 1 year, side by side. And then I even gave some trainings to some of my Chinese journalism colleagues. And I'll talk about this in just a second. So then I was building a bridge helping to build a bridge between Chinese journalists, Chinese media, and the world. Okay. And here's one of the most important lessons that I learned that I want to share with you. Okay. I want you to visualize the challenge that China, Chinese companies, and even Chinese professionals like you face around the world. I realized I created this diagram, which you can see in the photo. I created this diagram, which I call the spectrum of China's international audience. Okay? Because I've lived not just in the US, but in Europe, in Africa, and in China. Okay, I've been very fortunate to have lived on 4 continents. So I've learned quite a bit about the international audience, especially the way the international audience sees China and the Chinese people. And I realized that there are basically 3 categories of that China has 3 categories of international audience. On one extreme are the pro-China crowd. You can see the pro-China crowd. They, for some reason, they love China and the Chinese people. And almost nothing negative that you say about China will they believe, okay? Nothing will change their mind. So there's no need for us as communicators or as Chinese media to work hard to persuade them, okay? On the other side, there's the anti-China crowd, and I'm sure you're very familiar, asking why is the world against us? Why is the international media against us? Why is international public opinion against us? Okay, they are anti-China for some reason, and nothing positive we say can change their mind. Okay, even with your company, you're approaching potential partners, investors, manufacturers, distributors, and they say, no, 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 we don't want to do business with the Chinese. Why? We don't trust Chinese companies. Maybe they worry about your company's relationship with the Communist Party of China or with the People's Liberation Army. This is, as you know, there are certain perceptions and misperceptions out there, okay? But then when it comes to communicating, okay, when it's a pro-China crowd, you can give them plenty of content that they'll be happy to hear. The anti-China crowd with a closed mind, there's nothing you can do to change their mind. But then there's the in-between crowd, okay? And that is what I think our target audience is very often, is that, as I describe it, they're on the fence. They could go either way, okay? And to impact this viewer or this audience, a potential partner, investor, manufacturer, potential employer, potential media who may want to interview you, okay? They don't see China in such a black or white, pro or anti sort of way. They know that there are shades of gray, that there's good and bad around the world, in the US, in China, in Africa, in Europe, okay? And the way to strategically impact this audience, okay, is they won't just reflexively believe our words. The only way that we can positively influence this audience is, as I say, down below here. Can you, oh, sorry. Can you, shoot, I just lost it. Okay. Can you see this over here? Yes, the only way to influence them is with evidence. Concrete, meaning specific evidence, credible, meaning believable evidence, verifiable, that it can be proven, and that we present that Chinese companies, Chinese government, Chinese professionals then present transparently. Okay, and I'll talk about this throughout this webinar, the need for evidence, okay? In the global trust crisis, the only way that we can persuade a smart but skeptical audience is with evidence, okay, that we present them, okay? By the way, if you have any questions, June, please keep an eye on whether people have questions that they want me to address, okay?
Yeah.
So getting back to the big picture of the challenge that we face, that we are, and this is not just specific to China, but today you have to imagine the challenge that we face with strategic communications. We are swimming in a sea of brands. We are all brands, whether we're a company, a government agency, a nonprofit, or professionals like us. I'm a brand, you're a brand. And guess what? Every brand has a self-interest to talk about how wonderful they are, how good they are. Very few of us, if we're asked, would say, I'm so-so at what I do. I'm mama hoo-hoo. I'm mediocre. Okay? No, we all have a strong self-interest to present ourselves in the most positive way. But is that true? Okay? How can we prove what's true or not? Let me get back to. So this is why strategic communications is so important, okay? Because we need to, when we hear some of these exaggerations or maybe lies, okay? When we're looking for people we can trust, partners we can trust, employees we can hire whom we can trust, then there's pressure on us to then present that sort of evidence to, if you look at the middle here, the middle of the screen, to prove we are who we say we are, to prove that we're actually doing what we say we're doing. And third, that we are as good as we claim to be. All of us need to do that. I'm a global communications advisor. How do I prove that? That I'm actually doing that sort of thing, okay? June is the president of the Shanghai Association. How do we know that the Shanghai Association actually exists? How do we know that they are doing what they claim to be doing? And third, how do we know that they are an effective or impactful organization? We're going to talk about the Shanghai Association a little later because June has been very kind about offering her organization as a case study, okay, to really study how effectively even the organization communicates right now, okay? And just a bit more about the bigger challenge that we face, and then we'll get to some specific skills and strategies for you, okay? From my experience on 4 continents, that I've learned in general that there are 2 types of audience, okay? On the one hand, around the world, in America, in China, Africa, Europe, many people are sheep-like. I don't want to insult anyone, but when I say sheep-like, meaning following blindly, unthinkingly, okay? Outside my New York City apartment is a pizzeria that says, New York's best pizza. Who's going to believe that? According to whom? How do we know that it's truly the city's best pizza? The sheep-like followers, unthinking, may say, hey, the best pizza in New York is right there, okay? On the other hand, are the critical thinkers. You see the right hand of the screen, the right side of the screen. The critical thinkers who will not immediately reflexively swallow what we're being told, but they're smart and skeptical, and they will demand evidence. They will demand that we prove what we say, so that when I go to the pizzeria, I say, who says you're the best? Who says you're number one? Oh, we were written about in a magazine. Here's the magazine article. Well, at least that's a little piece of evidence, some proof. It's not just your words talking about how wonderful your pizza is. It's just one tiny little example. But I hope you understand what I'm trying to say, because we all face this challenge. If you think about your own company, your own business, your own organization, if you're looking for customers, clients, investors, partners, okay, that it all comes down to trust, okay? Now, one thing I want to talk about tonight is my own definition of what I call strategic storytelling. Okay, now we're getting into some of the content you'd want to create, your company, your organization, or you personally. And strategic storytelling is not just any storytelling, but storytelling for a purpose. When your intent is to achieve a strategic objective. I'll give you an example very soon, okay? Especially when you or your company, your organization is under pressure to prove something, especially to persuade that audience, such as results or impact, okay? If you have a new herbal medicine or herbal tea from China that you want to sell here, how do you get approval from the Food and Drug Administration? You don't just say, trust us, believe us. Of course not. You must provide evidence, okay? And so then, as I say, a key component, if you need to prove your results or your impact, a key component is always to overcome that skepticism is concrete, credible, even verifiable, provable evidence, which you then present transparently. And it's also important to note, and think about this for yourself, especially for those of you out there working for organizations or companies, okay? The most confident companies that know we have results, know that we've made a difference, we have impact. When a company or an organization is confident or an individual is confident, then we say, of course, I want to show you my results because I know I've delivered results and impact. It's those companies, organizations, government agencies, and others who may not have the evidence, which don't show their evidence because they know they can't make a very persuasive, convincing argument. Okay? So even showing evidence is a sign of your confidence as an organization, as an individual professional. Okay? Okay, now I need to move. Let me check the time. I need to move a little faster here, okay? That, look, as I mentioned before, with so much misinformation and disinformation, we need to overcome that with disinformation, okay? With this sort of evidence-driven content. And now I want to talk about why Chinese companies specifically need, especially Chinese companies coming to America, okay? I did some research. Here, I want to show you. I don't know if any of you have heard of the China General Chamber of Commerce in the USA. They came out with this very important report, okay? The annual business survey report of Chinese enterprises in the United States. And they have some very important conclusions, okay, from interviewing all different Chinese companies here. First of all, more Chinese companies from the world's second largest economy are going global. And of course, America, as the world's largest economy, remains one of the world's most important, but also most difficult markets for them to enter, okay? Public trust, you cannot assume that the public will trust you, okay? Some very important research, the 2025 Pew Research Center, 77% of Americans hold an unfavorable opinion of China, okay? Meaning that many Chinese companies are facing that skepticism before you introduce yourself. I'm not saying, as you know, especially for the Chinese listening tonight, those who are here in the US, you know it's not 100%. You know that you found partners here, okay? So at least according to the survey, at least 23% of Americans may keep an open mind to becoming partners. But then the pressure is on us to be persuasive with how we introduce ourselves and how we prove our results, our impact, our value, basically that we mean what we say. Okay, you can trust my words. Okay, so here's more research. Look, we're recording this. We'll send you all the link to the YouTube recording if you want to rewatch this. I don't want to read from the entire screen, okay? But this is so important that you see down here, more than half the companies report being negatively affected by this anti-China sentiment, okay? And it affects partnership opportunities, investment decisions, customer confidence, hiring preferences, media coverage, brand reputation, okay? And as a result, many of these Chinese executives, okay, also are talking about, again, more about the research, how that these companies identify these factors are essential for building trust. They must have strong partnerships with American organizations, positive customer experiences. And I'm going to talk in just a few minutes about how you can take those strong partnerships with American organizations and turn that into content, what I call partner stories, or take those positive customer experiences and turn those into stories and content for your website, for your social media platforms, for your LinkedIn. Okay, all this right here is very important. These are important sources of evidence for you to prove that partners trust you, that customers are satisfied, okay? That employers like the services that you provide, okay? So, also, lastly, I need to mention this as well. According to the survey, many of these Chinese companies want business organizations like Shanghai Association in the USA and its Global Business Services Center to provide more of this marketing guidance and communication support, because understandably, many Chinese companies and professionals don't fully understand the American audience and the difference between the Chinese audience and the American audience. May I give just one example? One very important example. I do media relations for some Chinese companies, okay? I lived in China. I know many Chinese journalists, and I know that many Chinese companies, when they want publicity, they want media coverage, they call up, they tell the newspaper, the TV station, hey, write about us, produce a story, and here's a hongbao, here's a red envelope with some money for your troubles. It's guaranteed coverage. That's how it works in China in general, as I learned. Guess what? Here, Chinese companies approach me and my colleagues and they say, hey, get me into Bloomberg, get me into the New York Times, get me into Wired magazine, guarantee me coverage. And I say, it doesn't work that way. They make independent decisions. You must have a good story. Your company, your organization must have a good story. Okay? And guess what? An organization, if June is still there listening, an organization like the Shanghai Association actually potentially could get media coverage. Let me explain. With so many Chinese companies trying to get into the US, okay? You can imagine that the New York Times, Washington Post, Wall Street Journal, of course, not only do they write about China's role in the global economy, they write about Chinese companies going global. So one day when they decide, hey, we need to write about this new trend, more and more Chinese companies coming to America and planting a flag here in America, they look for expert opinions on the ground. Okay. And maybe they would look for who's this Shanghai Association in USA? And they would look for evidence that is this a serious organization? They would look for that sort of proof. And maybe they would even call up and interview June Shen one day and say, tell us about what trends you're seeing. But only if the Shanghai Association and others can prove that they're truly impactful organizations, if they have evidence to prove that they're truly on the front lines of even that story of Chinese companies going global, going to the West, entering the US. Okay? Any questions so far? I have a few more skills and strategies that I want to share with you. Any questions so far?
大家现在有没有什么问题要问他的？可以打开话筒，或者是下面有个举手，hands up。
Is it
Well, Michael, you can continue
clear enough
by the
so
end.
far? Yes, is it clear enough so far?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for staying with me, okay? I know it's getting late and maybe you guys are hungry. Okay, let me give an example, a case study. A couple of months ago, I went to a couple of different events. Maybe many of you have been to these sorts of events. From Shandong province, a group of Chinese companies came over, and from Shanxi province, a group of Chinese companies came over to present themselves, to introduce themselves, looking for investors, distributors, okay, manufacturers, customers. And they spoke. I'm sure you've been to these events. They put up on the screen, I don't know if you can see the photo. I took this photo. Big crowd, big audience, and up on the screen, just dry data, dry words about here's our history, here's where we're located, here's how many employees we have, here's the history of our company. very dry, okay? With all due respect to these Chinese companies, they didn't have any evidence about their impact, about their results. They didn't have a story. For example, like I opened tonight, let me tell you a little story about myself and my journey. They could, for any of you, next time you give a presentation introducing your company. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for coming here tonight and for listening. I'd like to tell you the story of our company. And then you tell the story to humanize your company, but also a story of evidence to show, not just tell the audience who you are, where you've come from, how your company has grown. Okay? So companies like this presenting need some storytelling, some strategic storytelling. Okay? And here, just within this story, right? Some of these companies seem very impressive with results, but no photos, no evidence, okay? They might say we're very innovative, but they may not show the innovation, okay? So how do you earn trust? How do you prove you mean what you say, okay? I'll move along now. And again, I talk a lot about the need for credible evidence to show, not tell. I want to share one thing with you. My name is Michael Jordan, right? So I came up with a 4-step strategic communications formula that I'd be happy if each of you walk away with tonight, okay? And I use it almost every day. 4 steps: who, what, why, how. You can see it up on the screen. First of all, next time you go to any event, any meeting, and you must give a presentation. Maybe you're there to network, a wine and cheese event. I'm going to go meet people. First of all, who exactly is my target audience? Why are they my audience? Why would or should they listen to me or care? What can they learn from my words, from my presentation? How might they benefit? This requires EQ, not just IQ, but EQ, empathy, to imagine ourselves in the shoes of our target audience. Why should they care? Why should they listen to me? And this is so important. Otherwise, you're just saying, your words are like ammunition. Your words are like bullets. If you want to hit your targets, you must first visualize who exactly your audience is. That's why tonight, knowing that I was speaking with mostly Chinese, I wanted to impress upon you that, hey, I've lived in China before for 5 years. I've been teaching Chinese students for 18 years. So that step by step, I might earn some trust from you that, okay, this Lao Wai knows a little something about our homeland and our people, okay? So I was keeping in mind who my audience is. Then the next 3 steps: what exactly do you want to say? What's your core message? What point do you want to make? What argument do you want to make? What story do you want to tell? That's pretty straightforward. The 3rd step is more difficult. That's your critical thinking. Why exactly do you want to say this? Why exactly make this point or that argument or propose this idea? Why exactly tell that story? Okay, why exactly? Because you could say 100 different things, but if you have one opportunity to speak publicly to investors, let's say, what exactly do you want to say and why exactly do you want to say it? And if you look down here, you see the filter in the smaller print here? I've come up with a filter. If you say, Michael, how do we come up with this core message of what we want to say and why we want to say it? Again, with empathy, imagine your audience. My audience should find my content, my words, interesting or persuasive or valuable because why? Why exactly should they care? Why exactly do you think your words would hit your target, touch their heart, touch their mind? This is the essence of strategic communications, not just communications, but actually communicating strategically. And then the 4th step, once you feel good about your communication strategy as a company, as an organization, as an individual, then how do we want to deliver our message or make our point or propose an idea or persuade investors or distributors, manufacturers? How exactly do we want to do it? With which facts, which details, which examples, as you see here, which photos, which graphs, okay? Which small stories. We want to tell you a story about one of our clients, okay? One of our success stories, okay? So how exactly do you want to make your arguments, okay? And by the way, this is so important. The core message is I want to just briefly talk about how to come up with that core message, okay? Tonight, my core message for you was the way to earn trust simply is by producing evidence, okay? Not just your words, but to back up your words with some proof, some evidence, okay? Concrete, credible evidence. That's my core message for each of you as companies, organizations, professionals, and so on, okay? But here's how you come up with the core message, okay? If you think through, let's say, what do I want to say? All right, I could say this, I could say that, I'm not sure what to say. Let's think about, I look at it backward. Imagine after they've listened to you, or they will listen to you, what do you want them to remember? What do you want your investors, the audience of investors, to remember later that day, or the next day, or 1 week later? Hey, I like that company because they want to do X, Y, Z. If you're thinking through, what exactly do I want them to remember about me? Okay, they must remember this. Okay, then take that core message and put that at the beginning. Make that the focus of your strategic communications. Okay, again, I want you to walk away and to remember evidence, evidence, evidence is the key to earning trust. Okay, so that's why I put that at the beginning of my presentation today and even showed you some photos as evidence of who I am and what I've done, not just around the world, but in China specifically. Okay, I already explained why empathy and EQ matter, to imagine yourself in the shoes of the audience, context, what kind of stories, very briefly, very briefly, okay? Look, I see that all companies, not just Chinese companies, all companies and organizations need human stories, okay? Evidence touches the mind of a skeptic, but human stories can touch the heart of a skeptical audience, okay? So, for example, I think each of you on your website, on your social media platforms, should have a story about our founder's story, our company's story. And then you can tell the story of how the idea first popped into your mind, how the light bulb went off, what exactly your inspiration was, your motivation was, and then the journey, not just the key dates on your timeline, but to tell your story of inspiration, how the steps that you took to then build up your company, your organization, that sort of thing. Or professionally, your own journey, okay? What started you on your journey? Because human to human, the shared humanity, that's one way to cross-cultural communications for the Chinese to share more human stories that Americans and others around the world can relate to. I call it the shared humanity, something we all share in common, okay? Why the company was founded, what problem you saw inspired you, how you make a meaningful difference, supported by evidence, who the people are behind the company, humanizing your leadership team, and also, of course, why Western audiences or American audiences should trust them. That's evidence-driven content, okay? I call these stories, and I want you to start to visualize, okay? Because I work with clients, helping them not just come up with this big picture strategy, but even to create different forms of content. I call, for example, essential proof. You need documents, certifications, photos, okay, of who you are, what you do, what you say, okay, to document, to chronicle activities and progress. It could be written, it could be photographic evidence for your website, for your social media channels. I call that essential proof. Then the origin story. Our story, my story, the founder's story, your origins and evolution over time. Impact story. This is another form of story to prove your impact on customers, on clients, on organizations, on communities, whatever your company, your organization, or you personally, professionally aim to do, how to bring to light your impact. I mentioned this before, partner story, especially for companies, Chinese companies that struggle to earn trust. And we need more partners. How do we earn trust from more partners? What I advise companies, do you already have partnerships? Well, yes, we do. Well, then you need to tell the story of how you built those early partnerships, especially with the first American partner you had, okay? Like Huawei, okay? That their first partnership with Ren Zhangfei. I'm trying to remember. Sorry if I mistook his name. His first partnership was with Texas Instruments, and he often talks about how he first formed that, how important it was for Huawei to form that first partnership. So if you tell that story, then you can share that with other potential partners that, hey, Texas Instruments trusted Huawei, so maybe that's good enough for us to trust Huawei as well. I call that a partner story. Here's one more form. You know, supply chains are very important. I call it how the sausage is made. Like a sausage, we all love eating sausages, most of us do at least, but we don't want to know how the sausage is made. In this situation, you can also create content about how exactly your process is. Here's our product. Now we're going to show you how we created that product. Okay? That's another form of content. And then there's thought leadership. Okay? I myself, if you look at my LinkedIn platform, I myself have a newsletter with 5,000 followers where I am also expressing my thought leadership. If you have been doing something in the field for 10 years, 20 years, or more, you can start to write about it, talk about it with authority. You can create a newsletter once a month. You can create a YouTube channel where you post videos, where then you start to show, not just tell, you show your analysis, your insights, your opinions, because you want to elevate yourself as a brand or as a leader of a company, an organization, as a brand. Okay? We're almost done here. And then LinkedIn is the key to your brand building as well. It's one thing to have your website, but you know what? You know what? Me, if you trust me now a little bit, do you know that every time I meet someone or I meet a new company, I go to LinkedIn and I check them out. I research them. 2 nights ago, I was invited to an investment dinner, not Chinese, American companies, okay? And immediately I was like, who are these investment companies? I looked them up and I even went to Google. I said, this company, is it a scam? Is it controversial? I did research and I found names. I went to LinkedIn and looked at their platforms, their profiles, and some of the profiles looked suspicious. Okay, so LinkedIn is a place where then you should start to upload some of your evidence to prove you are who you say you are, that you do what you say you do, and that you are as good. Here, your 3 main challenges, okay, to prove these things. Okay, so, okay, you know what? We're running so late. Here, let me stop sharing and let me at least ask for any questions. Any questions from the audience, please?
大家现在可以把话筒打开，然后问问题。Right, so you can turn on the your volume, the voice. Yeah, you can turn on the voice and then ask the question. Yeah.
Well, okay, let me first. And Michael, and thank you for such a wonderful and an amazing speech to us. And I found your speech really inspiring and very useful to me. And for me, to my part, and as I told you earlier, in this company, I'm an international market manager, and I'm in charge of the foreign trade business.
Mhm.
And we are facing, like some difficulties and problems because we are going to take part in some overseas exhibitions this year. At the end of this month, we'll go to Japan, and in October, we'll go to Germany, and then Thailand and Dubai.
Okay.
But it's the first time we'll go to take part in the exhibitions. So in those times, in those days, I printed some name cards and do some brochures
Brochure.
Yeah, maybe the word
Yes.
is correct. Brochures, and for the company, and prepare the other materials for the exhibitions. But when I heard your speech, it gave me some like idea how to like build trust, and I wanna I'm thinking a lot about how to build our brand, how to let more customers overseas know us and trust us, and they are willing to visit us and talk to me face to face. That's what I'm thinking about recently quite a lot. And I want to make our brand, our company, and our products to the global.
Right.
But yeah, cause uh, but we need a strategic a storytelling, like you said. I do agree with you. But right now, yeah, I'm confused. To my part, I'm confused. How to write the story about the company and to like make the story to the PPT and to show the customers when they come to us, how to tell them, how to let them remember us, like you said, in 30 minutes, 30 seconds, or in just a short time. But the first question I want to know right now from you, because we'll go to abroad for exhibitions, that we are not prepared very well because the time is tight, is in rush. We only have name cards and some brochures, the new brochures. And when you're faced to the customers, to the clients who are quite interested in us, so how to let them remember me, because I'm the main person to talk to them. How let the clients to remember me and want to talk with me further, or have very the feeling to a strong feeling to leave their information or contact or phone number to me in
Well,
very short time.
yes.
I
Well,
want to give them impressed.
first of all, I mean, thank you for the question, Jesse. I think what I would do with such short time, first of all, I would look at this as an opportunity to learn more about your market. When you go to these events, listen to the questions that they're asking. If they're asking, do you do this? Do you do that? Listen for their skepticism. Listen for their suspicions. Then when you come back, by the way, I know that you're already getting ready for this trip. I'm just saying that this is an opportunity for the next trip that you'll be able to plan, come up with a strategic plan in advance with the content, the evidence-driven content, to be able to address some of their concerns, because now you'll be hearing their concerns. Do you see what I mean? I don't know if I explained it in a confusing way, that when you go and you don't have much that you prepared, when you go, you will hear their own concerns about whether they believe you or not. And you could say, well, why don't you trust us? Why don't you believe us? Well, you don't have this on your website. You don't have this on your social media platforms. So moving forward, at least, I would take this as an opportunity to learn more from your potential clients and potential partners. Okay, but now you're talking about, okay, do you see what I mean in terms of for the future moving forward? But your question was, what can we do at the last minute, basically? Okay, what can I do personally to earn that level of trust, right? One thing I would do, first of all, do you have photos of yourself in the company and with colleagues, with partners, with your products? On a personal, professional level, do you have photos, visual evidence to prove that you are who you say you are, that you do what you say you do? And third, that you are and your colleagues are as good as you claim to be. One thing I would do before this trip is, hey, let me start going around the company. Let me start taking photos of different aspects, not just colleagues, but product, how the product is made, that sort of thing. What sort of content can you quickly create with from clients, from previous clients, from existing clients or customers, that sort of thing. So that at least you go there with your hands full of content to show that we are who we say we are, doing what we say we're doing. But then you, Jesse, on a more personal level, can also explain a bit of your own journey as to why you work for this company, what brought you to the company, why you believe in the company, what you're doing personally to help build up the company. Okay, this is on a personal level when you meet someone. Hi, my name is, and this is what I do. This is what we're aiming to do. This is why I'm here at this event. Okay, here's some photos and some evidence to prove we are who we say we are. Okay, are you open to, are you looking for partners in China in this field? So at least on that personal level, face to face. I didn't mention
I
this.
have a question, Mike.
Yeah,
Michael.
but just one more, well,
Yeah,
just
go
one more
ahead.
thing.
Finish your point.
Yeah, just to finish the point. On a personal level, on a professional level, there's a natural wall of suspicion between strangers, a wall of suspicion or at least skepticism. When we meet someone on the street, will you sign this? Will you support this? Whoa, who are you? Are you trying to harm me in some way? We all have a natural suspicion. So then when it comes to our communications, Jesse, when you go to these events, your priority should be, how can I lower this wall of suspicion and build a bridge of trust, step by step, brick by brick, to build that personal bridge of trust, because then that will unlock step by step potential partnership, collaboration. Then they like you, they trust you. Let's go for a coffee. May I invite you for a coffee? Okay,
That's right.
Okay,
Yeah.
lower the wall of
Thank you.
suspicion, build a bridge of trust, and unlock opportunities. And the only way to build a bridge of trust is with evidence. Okay. Sorry for the long response.
Right.
But go ahead.
Thank you. I got your point.
Sure,
Yeah, Michael.
Yes.
Mike, I wanna thank the June Chen, the president of the Association Shanghai, for giving us this webinar tonight, and thank you for your presentation. You did a great job, as
thank
usual,
you.
and very, very informative. And I think probably there is a skepticism, but in America now we have many Chinese people that have been, very well advanced, and the problem with China is that the language barrier, and so they have to use people in America or organizations, people that are trustworthy to export their products. So they should have the representative here, and like you said, the people that do represent these companies should go to China, go to the factory, go to the plant, take pictures with them, bring brochures, both in English and perhaps what other language they're going to use, and be the ambassadors. I mean, the Chinese people in this country are the ambassador of China, just like me. I'm Lawai, but I'm Italian, so I represent the many Italian companies. I brought many companies here. Jacob Javits, Las Vegas, I took them all over. I took them my radio show, television show, and they became big. I mean, one of the example is, for instance, I did advertise for this bakery. In 1980, this bakery was very small. Today, the bakery is the #1 in America. And believe me, I got paid better than a lawyer gets paid. So I have both the lawyer education and communication education. But communication is very powerful. And I think in this case, June comes in because she has also both skills, and she could help a lot of companies out, as well as Jessie, the way she was talking before. You could bring a lot of companies here. My suggestion to them is create some kind of a committee here. Bring those products, bring those companies, represent them here, bring them to the shows. And that's how they're going to show the products, through the Chamber of Commerce, go through Jacob Javits, through the shows, bring them to Vegas. And that's where the partnership, they find partners, they find investors, and where importer and exporter get together. I have some ideas about Italy with China. I have a lot of products because I have a contact in the government. We could do business too with China. What do you say?
You made a very good point about the need for individual ambassadors and bridges. And it goes both ways, by the way, okay? That I know, having lived in China and here, I know many Chinese companies think, I need a Lao Wai face. I also lived in Africa, many African organizations, I need a white face to show this kind of partnership, because it does build trust. Guess what? It goes the other way too. Okay. That, for example, if I want people to believe that I'm working with Chinese companies or Chinese partners, I also need June, okay, to show that, hey, I have credibility among the Chinese. The Chinese want credibility among Americans. So there is that very symbolic role that then builds trust, okay, on both sides, okay? So the need for that sort of collaboration, cooperation, as you said, representatives, ambassadors, champions of each other, that sort of thing, for sure. Then and going out there together, side by side.
When you say we need each other, I gave you one example. A few years ago, I was inducted into the Hall of Fame to go to Dubai to make a speech. There you had ambassadors, you had presidents, you had ministers, and they called me to make the speech, the #1 speech. I became the most popular guy there, and the money was flowing in because my contact, for Donald Trump, since I worked for President Trump, so everybody came in and everybody invested into whatever company. So my white face, my contact counted very much in that Dubai, conference.
Thank you for that.
It's important. It's important.
Great. Anyone else, please? We have a
Hey,
few more
Michael.
minutes.
I just want to say hi. Do you still
Hello,
remember
Sally.
Sally? Yeah. Michael actually teaches a news feature writing. Yeah, he coached us like 30 years ago in
Hong Kong, one of my
Baptist University.
students.
Yeah. Yeah, so I learned a lot from you then about news production. And now I've already have like 10 years of experience doing documentaries, like newsy stories. But now I try to pitch stories and approach the foreign distributors about my stories. And I don't really know how to build trust with the foreign distributors. Like first, how to find the right person. Yeah. Yeah, how to find
that's what's so interesting is that when you think about it, all relationships are built on trust. Okay, some of you listening may say, "Oh, I'm not involved in media. I'm not involved in film. Well, what do we care about what Sally's talking about?" In this situation, it's also about, I'm coming from China. I have some interesting content, documentary film that I would love to be shown in English in an English-speaking market. How do I build trust? Okay, how do I find a right partner? First of all, market research, right? And without Guanxi, do I know anyone over there? Do I have any Chinese connections out there who can help me? Versus, you know what? The way I used to do it as a journalist out in the field, sometimes was knocking on doors or just cold pitching, okay? But then how to prove. This is the same challenge, how Sally can prove that she is who she says she is, that she's doing what she says she's doing, and these films are any good, okay? So you need, maybe you already have, it's been a while since we caught up, but a platform, a serious platform, professional looking platform with your films, okay? If they've done well, if they've been shown in different platforms, in different venues, if they've won awards, if they've scored X number of views, likes, whatever it may be, but especially to then frame why exactly your film is a good story, why exactly their audience, why they should care enough to, hey, let's partner with Sally Zhang in China because she's creating great content that we believe our audience would find interesting and appealing and actually watch. So it's a combination of the trust building, but then persuading them that yours is a good story. So you and I would have to talk one-on-one about me learning more about the film you're creating and coming up with a good story as to why the audience should care about whatever film you're creating. Okay? Because we can't just twist their arms to watch.
Talking about, and Sally, I like to get in touch with you because my son is a director, producer, so he's doing a movie right now. So maybe we could get in touch and talk to him, and maybe something could come. All right.
Sure.
So he's putting together $2 million, and he's going to distribute to Nestle. So we got to get together afterwards.
Thank you for that.
June will put us together.
How about, may I ask Dennis? Dennis, you're still there. Are you, Dennis, are you willing to share the challenge you may soon be facing coming from Canada?
I'm still here. Hi, everyone. Yeah, I'm still in here. I'm sorry. Yes, I'm in Canada, and well, I think I just want to say thank you for the very insightful sharing. I think it's very powerful thing. So I was a student in from the Baptist University as well, but then I think I didn't have a chance to be your student. I was a bit. I think I graduated in 2013, right? 10 years
Wait,
ago.
you were at Hong Kong Baptist as well?
Right. I was like 10 years
Okay.
ago. Yeah,
Okay.
10 more than 10. Oh my God.
But go
Time
ahead,
flies.
please.
Yeah,
Tell
but
me.
then yeah, I think that's really like I just want to say that it's a very like impactful things to me, because sometimes you just need to refresh this idea to be tell stories, right? Now I just work in an office, but then I think I really want to do something personally. I want to start something, so I think it's good time to um, learn about these skills, and one day I might be able to do something, right? Like yeah, and also I think I like to say if I can just get in touch with you and Giuseppe after the meeting, because I think I just want to learn something more, like see.
Of course, of
Right.
course. You know, I didn't even show. Let me just share one last thing for my
Yeah.
presentation, okay?
Yeah.
Is yeah, at least my contact information, okay? And you can see my WeChat, email, you can take a screenshot. You know, actually something that June and I are talking about is this is my first webinar that we're talking about creating a series of webinars, but also offering, and this is through the Global Business Services Center of the Shanghai Association, providing one-on-one coaching, training, workshops, okay, that sort of thing, where I'd be happy to lead any of you through the process of how to create content, how to create a strategic story, how to create your own elevator pitch to introduce yourself, that sort of thing, how to build your LinkedIn platform. Again, the heart of it is a core message supported by credible evidence, woven into humanizing stories about you, your company, your organization, that sort of thing. Okay, it's that formula. That's the formula I work with. Message plus evidence plus story. Okay. So, any other questions? Or you can reach out to me afterward more directly. But I'm here now. If there are any other questions,
We'll leave the space to others there. June, you come in. Fill in the blank.
Okay, this is Yiling.
Oh, Yiling, hello.
Can I say a couple words?
Of course, please.
Okay, hi, Julie. Thank you for organizing this beautiful event, and I learned a lot from Michael. I know both of you, fortunately. Yeah, but through the invitation is Michael gave me the invitation. Okay, so I think tonight is not that much people, but you talk very important, and could be more people to learn. And I think this is a really help everybody. Like before my, how call you? Giuseppe, Giuseppe, Mr. Giuseppe. How spell your
Joseph, yeah,
name?
yeah.
Yeah.
Joseph.
Joseph.
Joseph,
Giuseppe is
sorry,
Italian
Joseph.
name, yeah.
Okay, Mr.
Yeah.
Joseph. Yeah. Maybe after this event, we can put the WhatsApp group or WeChat group. If everybody have
Yeah.
a WeChat, we can continue to conversation to make this conversation continue.
I think, yeah, I think Lee, June can create a group so we keep up with the information, and with Michael, I think you could be very well informed and share each stories. I think we have many stories to share from Africa to Dubai and to America and to Italy and to China. So we can create, we have the whole world in our hands if we could do it right, you know? Let's see how we can help a Chinese company. I'm trying to help a Chinese company in Italy as well, because I have contact in the Italian government, you know? Yeah.
Well, and June, let me ask you, I'm curious. June as a case study, okay? What, just briefly, let's finish off with this. What are you trying to achieve with the Shanghai Association's Global Business Services Center, okay? And me as a skeptical audience, right? Go ahead, tell me what your vision is and what challenges you face and the need for evidence. Go ahead. What's your objective?
So we want to attract more like Chinese company. They want to come to the US market, then they can trust us and let them to uh like um, hire them for the service we can provide them to build the relationship in and the market in the US.
So
Not only that, June, excuse me, Mike,
yeah.
in addition to what she's going to do for the Chinese companies here, I could also cooperate with June to extend those companies' influence in Italy as well. So if she has companies that she could bring in the United States and they want to also penetrate the Italian market, we can work together, and I'm going to help her to get in other words, come to America and as well as to Italy. So she could really grab both markets, which is very important.
Now, thank you for that. Now that based on my background as a journalist, I see everything through the skepticism of a journalist, okay? So I met June a few months ago at an event here in the city in Flushing, okay? And I learned more about the Shanghai Association, okay? And June, this is certainly not to criticize her or the organization. She has the confidence that she said, Michael, go ahead, use me as an example, okay? But she said, we just started the business center. Here's their website. Okay. If I just heard for the first time, maybe some of you heard for the first time about the Shanghai Association and its Global Business Center, you go to the website, you click on it, and guess what? Okay, this is not to criticize. It's new. They're still building this. There's no evidence, no content. So right away, a little red flag like, is this a real organization or not? Are they serious or not? Okay, so that's why this is an excellent example of the need. Okay, we need evidence. For example, on August 12th, we had a webinar, okay, where we were talking about how Chinese companies and Chinese professionals can build trust. Even this, as an event, is a piece of evidence of what the organization is doing. So the Shanghai Association needs more and more evidence of this is who we are, this is what we're doing. And then, frankly, June, for example, if anyone were listening tonight and they actually took some of my advice and they actually then started to build up trust building, evidence driven content, and then in 1 year, they say, hey, thanks to that webinar I listened to from the Global Business Center, the Global Business Services Center, then that could become an impact story. Okay? You see what I mean? That then following up on members, how you positively impacted them, then that becomes potentially content that would persuade others to join. Because, oh, look, now we have a track record of evidence of positively impacting companies, individuals, that sort of thing. Okay? We all need to do that as we climb the ladder, the career ladder or growth ladder, is to collect these pieces of evidence to be building that foundation of trust and trust building content. What do you think, June?
Yeah, you said is very correct. So I think I will start to tomorrow morning and post from some evidence on here and make us more content in here. Right.
Just as one example, okay? Right? Because look, for June and for the organization, maybe in 1 year, again, I could reach out to the New York Times, Wall Street Journal. Hey, there's an important trend. Now more and more Chinese companies coming here. If you need a voice from the front lines to talk about this trend, okay? Because she has a finger on the pulse of this trend. You may want to interview June Shen, president of the Shanghai Association. And then the journalist, the New York Times or Wall Street Journal journalist, who's this Shanghai Association in USA? I've never heard of them. They visit the website, they see this foundation of evidence, and then that lowers their wall of skepticism. And they say, seems like a legitimate organization. I see evidence and evidence of impact. You see, that's how it works for organizations and companies. You can't just say, get me in the New York Times, get me interviewed here or there, what have you. But to build up that foundation of trust and to come up with a good story as to why they should care. Okay?
Yes. Thank you so much for your advices. It's really good, like detailed content, what we should do on the next.
Just as an example, okay?
Mhm.
So I wouldn't want to take much more of your time. Now it's been since we started late, it's been a little over an hour. Again, if you like more, please reach out to us, right, June? And
Right.
if there are specific topics you'd like us to explore, to talk about, okay, especially focus on skills and strategies and mechanics of how to create something, I'd be happy to do that, of course.
Sure.
Okay?
Sure. Yeah.
Anything else?
So anybody have more questions?
Uh,
Want to?
Just a quick comment here. I just want to say thank you, Michael, for coaching us on how to do the Newsy production 10 years ago, and now how to do the distribution like 10 years later.
You see, Sally is evidence of my impact.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Sally, for joining. See, if I were smart, I'd say, Sally, we need to talk. I need your story, okay? To prove my own impact. You see, that's how it works. And again, amid our global trust crisis, we all need to be focusing on how we can earn trust from others. Okay, it's only with evidence. Okay. Okay, on that note. Okay.
I think June should
So
concentrate on creating the next one, preparing for the next webinar with the Shanghai Association and bring other people in. And then she could fill up the business center. We'll have a video there. We have the people that we spoke, and so put everybody there and expand it, more meetings, more expansion. And then companies will come in and they will check it out. And then you could write a story about the New York Times or Wall Street Journal. Maybe I write one in the Italian paper as well. We'll look it up. It was a good meeting. It was a good meeting. I learned quite a bit, and I think you had a good presentation, which also stimulated me to start writing some books and start get into work. Got a lot of stories, Mike. I lived in the 4 or 5 continents, and so I could write a lot of stories since I speak several languages as well. So it helps me out. All right.
Well, thank you
very much.
everyone for.
Thank you to you, and thank you to June for organizing this event.
Thank you all for your
so
Yeah.
so I just put my WeChat the number on the chat box, so the people want to add me in, then I can add you guys, and I can create the chat group. Yeah, for later, the more more
June,
stuff
you
we
create
can
the
get.
chat group. You could create the chat group. You know everybody's name, and you could just create it by using our names.
Yes.
Just like the way we do with the BIBS,
And just once again, I just typed my WeChat in there as well. Okay. MJ Jordan 2323. Okay.
I don't know mine, because many years ago a singer did it for me. She put me in. I don't know what number she put it, so I will have to look at it.
All right, everyone. Thank you very much. Okay.
Thank you. So
I
I just do one ending. Okay. Thank you, everyone. We are coming to the end of the tonight webinar. First, I would like to once again thank Michael Jordan for such an insightful and practical presentation. And I would also like to thank all of your participants for spending your evening with us. I think one of the important takeaways from tonight is that effective communication is about much more than simple speaking well or speaking good English. It is about how we help people understand us, remember us, trust us, and ultimately build meaningful relationship with us. So, from making a strong, like the impression in 30 seconds and developing your personal brand to small talk, networking, public speaking, linking, and executive presence. These are skills that we can continue to develop throughout our careers. So tonight's 1 hour webinars is really just the start points. So we hope Michael can share us more story and doing like more personal one-on-one training with us, and for the personal, for the companies, so we can get more audience, and the companies can let Michael to help to get into the more personal branding, company branding, and all the stuff. So thank you everyone tonight. So we can keep in touch for the next seminar session.
We had some important audience tonight. We had the owners of the Westin Hotel, the owners of the 4 Points. They were listening to Michael's presentation and your presentation. So I want you to know that. Dr. Lily and Dr. Shu were on the with us listening to the presentation.
Cool. Great to know.
Yeah.
I'm an open book. Okay. I got nothing to hide over
Mhm.
here. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
Good
thank
night,
you
guys.
for all
Take
your
care.
time.
May
Okay.
God bless you all.
Thank you.
Thank
Good night.
Thank you
Good night.
guys.
Bye.
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 See you. Have a nice one. Have a nice day.